In the vast expanse of the North Atlantic Ocean, off the rugged western coast of Scotland, lies a small, desolate cluster of islands known as the Flannan Isles. Among them is Island Moor, the largest of the group, a place of jagged cliffs and haunting isolation. For centuries, the Flannan Isles were shrouded in mystery and superstition. Their desolate beauty inspiring tales of otherworldly forces and ghostly apparitions. But none of these tales is as enduring or as perplexing as the story of the three lighthouse keepers who vanished without a trace in December of 1900. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse, a sturdy structure perched atop Alien Moor, was constructed in 1899 to guide ships safely through the treacherous waters surrounding the islands. It was a lonely post, manned by a rotating crew of 3 keepers, with a 4th on the mainland ready to rotate in during periods of leave. The lighthouse was considered a vital beacon for maritime traffic, yet its isolated location and relentless weather made it one of the most challenging assignments for any keeper. In December of 1900, the 3 men stationed at the lighthouse were Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. Marshall was the assistant keeper, Ducat the principal keeper, and MacArthur a temporary replacement for the regular second assistant. By all accounts, these men were experienced, reliable, and well-suited to the harsh conditions of life on Elan Moor. They were last seen alive on December 7th, when they waved farewell to the crew of the Hesperus, the lighthouse tender that delivered supplies and rotated personnel. The Hesperus would return on December 26th, bringing with it a relief keeper to take MacArthur's place. But when the ship arrived, the scene that greeted the crew would become the stuff of legend. As the Hesperus approached the island, the crew noticed something strange. There was no welcoming signal from the lighthouse, no flag raised to acknowledge their arrival. This was highly unusual, as it was standard practice for the keepers to signal the tender's approach. Alarmed, Captain James Harvey ordered a blast of the ship's horn, but the sound was met with silence. A boat was launched, and Joseph Moore, the relief keeper, was sent ashore to investigate. What he found would haunt him for the rest of his life. The lighthouse was eerily quiet as Moore climbed the steep path to its entrance. The front door was closed, but not locked. Inside, the living quarters appeared undisturbed, as if the men had simply stepped out and intended to return at any moment. The table was set for a meal, though some of the food had been left uneaten. A chair was overturned, suggesting that someone had risen suddenly. Most unsettling of all, the clock on the wall had stopped, frozen at a time no one could explain. There was no sign of the keepers anywhere. Moore quickly returned to the Hesperus to report his findings, and a thorough search of the island was undertaken. The crew scoured every inch of Island Moor, from the lighthouse to the cliffs and beyond, but the keepers were nowhere to be found. The only clue was a set of log entries recorded in the lighthouse's logbook. These entries, written by Marshall and Ducat in the days leading up to their disappearance, painted a picture of growing unease. According to the logbook, the men had been battling severe weather conditions. On December 12th, Marshall wrote of fierce winds, the likes of which I have never seen before, and noted that Ducat had become unusually quiet, while MacArthur, a seasoned sailor known for his toughness, had been reduced to tears. The entry for December 13th mentioned continued storms and an almost palpable sense of dread. What was strange, however, was that no reports of severe weather had been recorded in the surrounding areas during this time. The final entry, dated December 15th, was brief and cryptic. Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all. The disappearance of the 3 men sparked a flurry of speculation and theories. An official investigation by the Northern Lighthouse Board concluded that the men had likely been swept away by a rogue wave. While attempting to secure equipment during the storm, this explanation, while plausible, failed to account for several puzzling details. Why had the logbook described storms that were not reported elsewhere? Why had 2 sets of oilskins, the heavy coats worn by the keepers in bad weather, been taken but not the 3rd? And what could explain the unsettling atmosphere described by Moore and the crew of the Hesperus? Over the years, alternative theories have emerged, each more intriguing than the last. Some have suggested that the men fell victim to foul play, perhaps a violent altercation among themselves, or an attack by intruders. However, there was no evidence of a struggle or forced entry at the lighthouse. Others have proposed that the keepers were driven mad by isolation and harsh conditions, leading to murder-suicide or a collective decision to leave. Yet this too seemed unlikely given the men's professionalism and experience. The more fantastical theories delve into the realm of the supernatural. Some believe the keepers were abducted by otherworldly forces, perhaps whisked away by a UFO or drawn into another dimension. The Flannan Isles' long-standing reputation for being haunted only adds fuel to such speculation. Locals have long told tales of eerie lights, strange sounds, and ghostly apparitions on Island Moor, and some believe the keepers may have fallen victim to the island's malevolent spirits. Another theory suggests a connection to ancient Celtic mythology. The Flannan Isles are named after Saint Flannan, an Irish saint, but they are also steeped in pagan lore. Some have speculated that the keepers inadvertently disturbed a sacred site or angered the wee folk, supernatural beings believed to inhabit the land. According to this theory, the men's disappearance was a form of retribution, a warning to those who would disrespect the island's ancient traditions. Despite extensive searches and investigations, the fate of Thomas Marshall, James Duquette, and Donald MacArthur remains an enigma. Their disappearance has inspired countless books, films, and even poems, each attempting to unravel the mystery. The story has become a part of maritime folklore, a chilling reminder of the dangers and uncertainties of life at sea. Today, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse stands as a silent sentinel, its beam cutting through the darkness as it has for over a century. It is automated now, requiring no keepers to tend its light, but the legacy of Marshall, Duquette, and MacArthur lingers in its shadow. Visitors to Island Moor often report a sense of unease, as if the island itself holds the memory of that fateful December. Some claim to hear faint voices carried on the wind, or to see fleeting figures near the cliffs, echoes, perhaps, of the men who vanished without a trace. The mystery of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers is a story that defies explanation, a puzzle with pieces that refuse to fit. It is a tale of isolation, resilience, and the thin veil between the known and the unknown. As the waves crash against the cliffs of Island Moor and the lighthouse's beam sweeps across the sea, the question lingers: what really happened to Thomas Marshall, James Duquette, and Donald MacArthur? The answer, it seems, is lost to the tides of time, a secret held by the island and the restless sea that surrounds it.